AITA for refusing to look after my 26M roommate's 25F cat while she is on a 3-week vacation. My roommate loves cats. She'd like to have a dozen, and if it was up to her alone, I have no doubt she would have at least several cats. About a year ago, after she kept bringing it up, I finally relented and let her get a cat. The reason I say let is because we both have to agree. If one of us doesn't agree, it's not allowed by the landlord. On to the story. My roommate informed me she was going to go on a vacation with her family about a week ago, nothing more. I just said okay and made conversation asking when she was going, where she was going, usual stuff. That brings us to yesterday. She starts running me through the types of cat food I should give her cat, how often its litter box needs to be cleaned, what the number of the vet is, and at that point I just stop her and ask her why she is telling me all this. I was plain confused. She looked just as confused and told me she was just telling me stuff I needed to know since she is leaving on Monday. I just told her that I am not sure what she is getting at, but I sure hope she is not assuming that I am going to take care of her cat while she is gone, because that's not happening. A full-blown panic where she starts tearing into me about how she assumed I wouldn't mind taking care of our cat and how she doesn't have time to find someone else. I retaliated by saying it's her cat, I got nothing to do with it, and suggested she houses him in one of those animal motel type deals. That was a no-go, and she has since been crying, panicking, arguing, and begging about it. I obviously can't help but feel bad. The vacation is already paid for. A cat motel is really expensive, especially on short notice, and she doesn't really have friends who she can ask. On my side, it's less so that I do not like cats, which I don't, and more so that I think cleaning up after her cat is disgusting, and I don't want to be forced to look after a cat that can't sleep alone. He will meow all night if she doesn't let him in her room. Talked to my GF and some buddies about it, all of whom agree to some extent that I should just watch the cat this one time. Update: AITA for refusing to look after my 26M roommate's 25F cat while she is on a 3-week vacation. Update. Didn't take me long to make an update, as I decided to talk to her today. Thanks to everyone that responded. I did a lot of thinking, and a few comments in particular struck a chord. Here and there people pointed out and put a link between her behavior now and her behavior when I agreed to let her have the cat in the first place: pushy, manipulative, and consistent asking/demanding until she gets her way, coupled with what I struggle to describe as anything but tantrums. I started realizing that in the time we have lived together, that's pretty much her go-to when things don't go her way, and the only reason I didn't really notice before is because I do not socialize with her much at all. She tends to only really exit her room when she needs to cook, wants something, or goes to work. So I initially decided I needed to sit her down, put down some boundaries. I also decided I was going to, albeit reluctantly, watch her cat for the 3 weeks until the conversation happened. That was. The moment she sat down, she immediately talked over me and said, "I hope you reconsidered since you put me in a bad spot here." It surprised me, and I told her she put herself in a bad spot, and from there she went into tantrum mode. I barely got a word in the entire time, and she was just switching between demanding I change my mind, lying by saying we got the cat together so it is my duty, begging, and borderline insulting me. I lost my cool and told her to have fun figuring out what to do with her cat, as I ain't helping, and walked off. I did a bit of thinking and came to the perhaps rash decision that I am going to inform the landlord that I am not renewing the lease. Finding a new place in the month and a half I got left on the lease shouldn't be difficult. I always got a couple of buddies I fall back on, and while it may leave my roommate in a shitty situation, I doubt she can afford the place on her own. I am kind of done caring. Even aside from all the issues described above, I just realized I don't like living with her. Every roommate I have had I get along with. It tends to be fun and we become friends, or at least friendly. With her, well, she is at best boring. I mean, like I said, in all the time we have lived together, I'd hardly call her an acquaintance. That's just not the sort of person I want to live with. So there we are. I haven't informed her yet, and I want until I contact the landlord. Story 2. AITA we made our 5 kids share 2 bedrooms. Asshole. My wife and I have 5 kids. Blended family, no bio kids together. Hers are 13, 12, and 9. Mine are 8 and 9. All girls. Right now we live in a 6-bedroom house. We didn't seek out such a large house, but it was affordable and fit our needs at the time. The 3 younger girls share a room by choice. Older 2 each have their own room. We are now wanting to move closer to my wife's job. The commute during the summer is terrible because of tourist traffic, and it's horrible in the winter because of the weather. The issue is that housing is way more expensive and much smaller in size there. The options for even 4 bedrooms are slim. The ones that do have 4 bedrooms are tiny, especially the kitchens, which is an issue because we all like to cook. We've been considering broadening our options to 3 bedrooms. This would put the 3 youngest girls in one room and the older 2 in a room together. I'd like to say it would only be temporary until we find a bigger house, but I have no way of knowing when and if that would ever happen. WWBTAs for downsizing to 3 bedrooms, making our 5 kids split 2 rooms. Update: we moved our 5 kids into a 3-bedroom house. Update: I was labeled the AH, and in true AH fashion, I went with my decision in the end. I'm really glad we did. We've been in the new, small, house for almost 2 months now, and our family is thriving. Yes, the smaller space comes with challenges, but we are so much happier that we get to see my wife more often. The kids spend a lot of time down at her studio now, but they now have the option to come and go as they please. It's great. I also have peace of mind knowing my wife isn't driving in unsafe conditions to get to work. She comes home at more reasonable times and doesn't feel the need to decompress like she used to, and she can come home for lunch. A lot of people were concerned for our older 2. They are fine. We were open and honest about the situation and they understood. We found a house that has one L-shaped bedroom. The oldest 2 get that room, so it offers a little bit more privacy than a typical square room. We bought a loft bed and trundle bed for the little girls. No one uses the bottom trundle bed, but it's there just in case, lol. I know we made the right decision. The girls really love this area, and moving sooner rather than later hasn't had any harmful effects so far. Story 3. AITA for getting mad that my oldest son didn't let my youngest win a game. Asshole. I have 4 kids, only 2 are relevant to the story. My 10-year-old son will call Jack, and 8-year-old son who will call Tony. They were playing Mario Kart with each other on their 3DSs. My oldest son knows to let the youngest win, otherwise he'll throw a tantrum. The boys swapped DSs because Tony's needed to be charged and Jack didn't really feel like moving from his spot. Like I said, Jack knows to let Tony win, but for some reason he didn't this time. Tony started his usual I didn't win tantrum and threw Jack's 3DS across the room. The console broke, the top screen came off the bottom and the buttons are unresponsive. Jack was upset, and that's why I got mad at him. He had been told repeatedly to let Tony win to avoid a tantrum. My husband and my 2 girls, 16 and 17, are saying that I should make Tony give Jack his 3DS, but I think it's Jack's own fault for giving him his one and then not letting him come first place. Jack is refusing to share anything with Jack and has hardly spoken to me in days, so I'm left to deal with the constant tantrums on my own. Ida. Edit. Can you guys please stop messaging me wishing death on my kids? Update: AITA for getting mad that my oldest son didn't let my youngest win a game. Update. Hi, so it's been a few months since I posted that, and I was, mostly, rightfully dragged for it. There's been enough breakthroughs for an update, so here we go. As I mentioned in comments, Tony had unmedicated ADHD, and after taking him to his doctor to start the medication process, we were told that it wasn't ADHD, but most likely autism spectrum disorder. The doctor was in fact right, however Reddit was right. I was enabling his behavior. We, myself, my husband and Tony are all in group and individual counseling now. And on to Jack. I did not make Tony give Jack his 3DS, but Santa delivered Jack an early Christmas present, a brand new Nintendo Switch. Tony isn't allowed to touch it. There's much less tolerance for Tony's tantrums now, and his behavior has improved massively. He doesn't get what he wants just because he'll have a tantrum. Now he understands that he'll be put in a room on his own, and if he comes out before he's calmed down he will not be acknowledged. Overall, a pretty positive update. Thank you for all of your advice and for telling me I was in fact the asshole. Story 4. Ida. Free money. But my daughter, 26, says it is not enough. Not the a-hole. I, 58-year-old divorced M, own a small condominium that I want to sell. Today, without the involvement of any realtors, I negotiated the sale of the condo to one of my neighbors. My fiancée, because of her professional background, has all the documents necessary to process the sale without the involvement of any realtors. My daughter, 26, who still lives with my former spouse, is also a realtor. Although our relationship is fairly rocky at times post-divorce, I offered her the opportunity to draw up all the paperwork that we could do for free without her. I offered her 3%, which is the same commission that she would net if she represented me as the seller if the buyers had their own realtor. It is also 0.5% more than she would make if she was representing only the buyers in the transaction. She got very offended. Accused me of trying to screw her over. She only would agree to do it if I paid her 4%. Remember, everything she could do for us, we can do for free. I am offering her 3% because I love her and I am her dad. I feel that I should simply stand firm on the 3% or tell her we will do it ourselves. Ida. Update/outcome. Update/outcome. First, thank you to everyone for your comments and nearly 100% NTA consensus. Phew. Smiley face. The comments were split just about 50 to 50. Half said stand firm and tell her it is 3% or nothing, and let her decide. The other half said revoke the offer now, move on and keep the money for myself. My fiancé and I talked a lot about it and we went with the first option. Then, this morning I woke up to a Father's Day text and her acceptance of the 3%. Hopefully end of story, or at least this chapter.